I never intended for things to unravel the way they did. It wasn't a dramatic fall. It was slow, almost invisible at first. A compliment here and there from Andrew, a fellow manager at work. Words that caught me off guard and made me smile when I hadn't in a while. Then came the late-night calls, under the excuse of finishing reports. The harmless messages that turned into private jokes, shared laughter, and eventually quiet dinners after the office closed. I told myself it was all professional, just part of the job, nothing more. But deep down, I felt it shifting. Something in me began to lean toward him, not because he was perfect, but because he noticed me, saw me in ways I hadn't felt seen in years. Not like the way Eric used to look at me back when we were new, when love was loud and eager. Somewhere in between diaper changes, grocery runs, and silent evenings where we sat on separate ends of the couch with separate screens, something in our marriage had dulled. The space between us had stretched so far I barely recognized it. I miss feeling desired. I miss feeling like I mattered outside of being a mother, a planner, a housekeeper, a dependable figure in a routine life. The night it happened, I was weak, and I knew it. The affair didn't explode into being. It slipped in through a crack I'd left open. The first time was filled with regret before it was even over. I told myself it would be a one-time mistake, but it wasn't. I kept going back, trapped in a spiral of need and shame. And I clung to flimsy justifications. Eric's distance, the silence at dinner, the way he turned away from me in bed. But none of that gave me the right. None of it excused what I was doing. The guilt gnawed at me. Every time I saw Eric folding laundry, cleaning the kitchen, or kneeling beside our daughter's bed to kiss her goodnight, the weight in my chest grew heavier. He wasn't cruel. He wasn't inattentive. He was just tired, like I was. We were both worn down by life, but he had never given up on us. And now I had done something unforgivable. I made up my mind. I would end it with Andrew. No confessions, no messy truths. I would walk away, burn the bridge quietly, and pour myself back into my marriage. I believed it was possible. I believed we could rebuild if I gave it everything. So I sent Andrew a message. We need to talk one last time. He agreed. We met at his apartment. A final goodbye. I sat across from him, hands twisting in my lap, eyes stinging. I can't do this anymore, I said, barely louder than a whisper. It's over. I love my husband. I need to fix this before I lose him for good. Andrew tried to respond, but he could tell I wasn't wavering. There was no warmth between us anymore, just the ache of what never should have been. No kisses, no tearful embraces, just finality. And then the moment I never saw coming. The apartment door creaked open. At first, I didn't register who it was. But then I turned, and there was Eric, standing still, staring, as if the air had been knocked out of him. His eyes flicked from me to Andrew, then back. He didn't say a word. His mouth opened slightly, but nothing came out. No accusations. No raised voice. Just shock, cold and still. Eric. I breathed, stepping toward him, my heart racing so fast it felt like I might collapse. Please, this isn't what it looks like. I was ending it. It's over. But he didn't hear me. Or maybe he did, and it just didn't matter anymore. His face was so blank it scared me more than any fury could have. It was like something inside him had shattered and gone quiet. He turned and walked out. No drama. No closure. Just silence. And that silence thundered louder than anything. I chased him, barefoot down the hallway stairs, but by the time I reached the street, he was gone. I stood there trembling, like the ground beneath me had split open. When I returned home hours later, I was still hoping he'd be there, waiting for answers, waiting to scream or cry or something. But the house was quiet. His side of the closet was half empty. His car wasn't in the driveway. But what broke me wasn't the absence. It was a picture frame on the floor beside the bed, our wedding photo, face down, glass shattered, left like a question with no answer. I called, over and over. I texted until my fingers hurt. I sent long emails, pouring out everything, my apologies, my sorrow, my plea for a second chance. I told him I had ended it, that I wanted to fix us, that I still loved him, but there was no response. No trace of where he was staying. No clue if he even read my words. Then one day, a letter arrived. A real letter, addressed in familiar handwriting, but with no return address. It wasn't cruel. It didn't even sound angry. Just tired and heartbroken. "You had your chance to save our marriage before you crossed the line," he wrote. "I saw you try to leave him, but I also saw you there in the first place." At the bottom, he signed it simply. "Maybe one day I'll be ready to talk, but right now, I need to grieve the version of you I thought I knew." I sat on the floor and sobbed until I couldn't breathe. I read that letter so many times. The ink began to blur under the weight of my tears. And still, I keep it tucked in a drawer, my reminder what I lost and why. Because the truth is, I didn't lose my husband for lack of trying. I lost him because I waited too long to try. I let the cracks widen and the silence stretch until it became something I filled with mistake I'll regret for the rest of my life. In the end, it wasn't the affair that destroyed everything. It was everything that came before it. The distance I didn't fight against, the silence I didn't break, the love I took for granted until it was gone.